Apple has new iPhone models every year, and just like that, millions wonder if they're worth the upgrade. This year, no matter which model you have, the answer might just be yes.
Your favorite tech YouTuber is being paid to recommend that phone to you right now. I'm not, which is exactly why I can tell you that the brand everyone's hyping has a failure rate that would make you sick, while two boring brands are quietly dominating. Ever heard of ZTE? No? Good. That means you probably dodged a bullet. Back in 2018, the US government straight up banned this company. Not for making ugly phones, for violating sanctions and posing national security risks. They eventually got a second chance under strict conditions, but here's the thing. That's like letting the kid who cheated on every test back into class with a promise to behave. And it gets worse. ZTE phones come stuffed with more bloatware than a Thanksgiving turkey. Apps you never asked for, running in the background, draining your battery like a teenager drains the refrigerator. Within months, that shiny new phone starts crawling slower than mall Wi-Fi. Security updates? Forget about it. Most ZTE phones stop getting patches after just 1 year. That's like buying a car and the manufacturer saying, "Good luck with those brake recalls, we've moved on." But here's what really made my jaw drop. Security researchers discovered ZTE phones were sending user data to servers in China every 72 hours. Your texts, your contacts, your browsing habits, all shipped overseas while you slept. The resale value situation is equally grim. These phones lose 40% of their worth in 6 months. You'd get better returns investing in Beanie Babies. Need help? Customer service wait times stretch into weeks. Weeks! I've had faster responses from my cable company, and that's saying something. Look, I'm all for saving money. But some deals aren't deals at all. They're just problems with a price tag. Now, ZTE isn't the only budget brand hiding some ugly secrets. There's another one you'll find at Walmart that's even sneakier. You know what's tempting? A smartphone for $60 at Walmart. Blue makes that dream happen. But here's the thing about dreams that cheap. They usually turn into nightmares. Blue phones look decent in the box. Nice screen, slim design. You think you've outsmarted the system. $80 saved. That's a nice dinner out. Then reality kicks in. Try video calling your grandkids. The processor chugs along like my old lawnmower on a cold morning. Choppy video, frozen faces, missed moments. And that's when the phone is brand new. But the real problem? It's not the sluggish performance. Back in 2017, security researchers discovered something disturbing. Blue phones were secretly sending text messages and call logs to overseas servers. Your private conversations, your personal information, just shipped off without permission. The company claimed they fixed it. Then similar issues popped up again. And again. They've faced multiple class action lawsuits over privacy violations. Yet somehow, they're still selling phones with the same concerns. Now let's talk about that screen. Most Blue devices use glass so thin and fragile, it scratches if you look at it wrong. Some folks report visible damage within weeks, just from normal pocket use. And the battery? Don't get me started. 8 months in, your phone dies before lunch. 10 months? You're carrying a charger everywhere like it's 1999 and you've got a pager. Here's the kicker. Blue phones have zero trade-in value, none. So when it dies, and it will, you're buying your next phone at full price, cheap up front, expensive in frustration. Speaking of frustration, the next brand targets seniors specifically, and somehow makes things worse. Alcatel. If you've seen those cheap phones at the front of a carrier store, usually priced under $80, you've probably spotted one. They market themselves to seniors and first-time smartphone users. Sounds reasonable, right? Give beginners something simple and affordable. Here's the problem. These phones are so sluggish that they actually create confusion instead of confidence. I've watched people tap an app icon 3 times because nothing happened the first 2 times. That's not user error. That's a phone that can't keep up with a finger. Most Alcatel devices ship with Android versions that were outdated before the phone even hit store shelves. And major operating system upgrades? Forget about it. You're stuck with whatever software came in the box. Then there's the camera situation. Grandparents buying these phones want to snap pictures of the grandkids. Makes sense. But Alcatel cameras produce grainy, washed-out photos, even in perfect lighting. It's like looking at memories through a dirty window. Storage is another headache. We're talking 16 to 32 gigabytes on most models. That fills up faster than a shopping cart on Black Friday. And some models won't even let you add a memory card to fix the problem. Here's what most people don't realize. Alcatel's parent company is TCL, the same folks making budget TVs. They spread themselves across multiple cheap brands, which means Alcatel support is understaffed and undertrained. Good luck getting real help. Oh, and many Alcatel phones skip the NFC chip entirely. Translation? No tap to pay at the grocery store. But if you think Alcatel's fall from grace is dramatic, wait until you hear about a company that literally invented the Android phone revolution, and then completely fumbled it. HTC once stood at the top of the smartphone world. They made the very first Android phone sold in America. The HTC Dream. Back in 2008, owning an HTC felt like holding the future. Now, they sell fewer phones in an entire year than Samsung sells in a single week. What happened? Well, in 2017, HTC sold a huge chunk of its smartphone engineering team to Google. Not just a few people. We're talking about 2,000 engineers. The people who actually knew how to build great phones walked out the door. What's left is basically a skeleton crew trying to compete with giants. And it shows. Their recent models get software updates whenever HTC feels like it. Some phones wait 6 months or longer for critical security patches. That's half a year of potential vulnerabilities sitting on your device like an unlocked front door. Remember those beautiful aluminum HTC phones that felt like jewelry in your hand? Gone. Replaced with cheaper plastic materials because the company needed to cut costs somewhere. Pick up a modern HTC, and it feels like holding a toy compared to the old days. Here's the practical nightmare, though. Try finding a case for an HTC phone at your local store. Good luck. Even Amazon barely stocks accessories anymore. It's like owning a car that no auto parts store carries supplies for. And resale value? These phones lose roughly 60% of their worth in the first year alone. That's worse than driving a new car off the lot. But HTC isn't even the saddest story on this list. Coming up, there's a phone giant that didn't just decline. They completely quit. LG had everything going for it. Great screens, innovative features, a brand people actually recognized. Then they just quit. In 2021, LG packed up and left the smartphone business entirely. Done. Finished. Gone like your favorite restaurant that closed without warning. And here's what that means for you. 0 updates. No security patches. Nothing. If you're still using an LG phone, or worse, thinking about buying a used one, your device is basically frozen in time. Hackers? They're finding new ways to break into phones every single day. Your LG? It's stuck defending itself with 2-year-old armor. But the warning signs were there long before LG waved the white flag. Remember the boot loop disaster? Multiple LG models would randomly restart themselves, over and over, forever. Your phone would just keep rebooting until it became a very expensive paperweight. I had a friend lose 3 years of photos because of this exact problem. Even their premium G-series phones had quality control issues. Some units literally had screens separating from the frame. Not exactly what you expect when you pay flagship prices. Now let's talk about a practical nightmare. Try finding a replacement battery for an LG phone today. Go ahead, I'll wait. The genuine ones are nearly extinct. Third-party options? Many don't meet basic safety standards. You're essentially gambling every time you charge your phone. Buying a used LG right now is like purchasing a car from a manufacturer that closed every dealership, fired every mechanic, and stopped making parts. Sure, it might run today, but when something breaks, and something will break, you're completely on your own. Speaking of brands that disappointed loyal customers, Nokia. Just hearing that name probably brings back memories of phones you could drop down a flight of stairs and use to call for help at the bottom. Those phones were tanks, absolute legends. But here's the thing, the Nokia phones sold today? They're not made by the same company. Back in 2016, a Finnish company called HMD Global bought the rights to slap the Nokia name on smartphones. So when you see a Nokia phone at the store, you're really buying an HMD phone wearing a famous name like a costume. Now, HMD made big promises. 3 years of guaranteed software updates, clean Android experience, the durability Nokia was famous for, and the durability part, actually still pretty solid. These phones can take a beating. Everything else? That's where things get frustrating. Those promised updates? They showed up late, sometimes months late. Security patches that should arrive in January wouldn't land until April or May. For a company banking on trust, that's a bad look. Then there's the performance issue. Current Nokia phones use the same budget processors you'd find in phones, costing half as much. You're paying extra for the name, not the power under the hood. The numbers tell the story clearly. Nokia's American market share dropped below 1%. Even people who grew up loving the brand couldn't justify the purchase anymore. And if something breaks, hope you're patient. Their repair system requires mailing your phone away, with average wait times exceeding 3 weeks. That's 3 weeks without a phone because customer service couldn't keep up. It's a brand running on nostalgia fumes. Speaking of brands that started strong and lost their way, the next one might actually surprise you. OnePlus used to be the scrappy underdog everyone rooted for. Back in 2014, they sold phones with flagship specs at half the price. You needed an invite just to buy one. People went crazy for them. Now, they've become the very thing they promised to destroy. Their latest phones cost just as much as an iPhone or Samsung Galaxy. But here's the kicker. You're paying premium prices without premium support. No physical stores anywhere in America. Not one. If something goes wrong, good luck explaining your problem through an online chat at 2 in the morning with someone reading from a script. And the software situation? Yikes. OnePlus merged their beloved Oxygen OS with Oppo's Color OS. Longtime fans called it a betrayal. The clean, simple interface they loved got replaced with something bloated and confusing. The OnePlus 10 series launched with updates so buggy that basic features like GPS just stopped working. For some people, their phones couldn't even tell them where they were. That's like buying a compass that points wherever it feels like. Then there's the brand recognition problem. Try trading in a OnePlus at your local carrier store. The employee might look at you like you handed them a flip phone from 2005. Lower recognition means lower trade-in values. We're talking hundreds less than what you'd get for a Samsung or iPhone. OnePlus still makes decent hardware. I'll give them that. But decent hardware wrapped in unreliable software, sold at flagship prices with zero local support? That math doesn't add up anymore. So who actually gets it right? Two brands stand above the rest, and one of them might genuinely surprise you. Now, let's talk about a phone you can actually trust. Apple has been making iPhones since 2007. That's almost 20 years of figuring out what works. And honestly, they've nailed it. Here's what sets Apple apart from everyone we've discussed. They support their phones for 6 to 7 years. The iPhone 6S from 2015 was still getting updates in 2022. That's like buying a car, and the manufacturer still sending you free upgrades 7 years later. Unheard of in the Android world. But the real magic? Everything just works together. iMessage, FaceTime, your photos syncing automatically. If your grandkids have iPhones, staying connected becomes effortless. No confusing apps to download. No weird setup processes. And here's something most people don't know. Apple stores offer free workshops designed specifically for seniors. Real humans teaching you how to use your phone. Plus, the Genius Bar lets you walk in and get help face-to-face. Try doing that with Blue or ZTE. The accessibility features deserve their own medal. Hearing aid compatibility that actually works. Text so large you could read it from across the room. Emergency SOS that contacts help with just a button press. My aunt swears by that feature after her fall last year. Now, about money. Yes, iPhones cost more up front. But a 3-year-old iPhone still sells for 40 to 50% of its original price. That ZTE you bought? Worth about as much as a fancy coffee by then. The interface stays simple and consistent. Fewer crashes, fewer freezes, fewer moments of wanting to throw your phone into the nearest lake. But Apple isn't your only solid option. Now let's talk about the Android side. And honestly, Samsung deserves real credit here. They've completely transformed how they handle updates. 4 years of major Android upgrades, 5 years of security patches. That's not marketing fluff. That's a genuine commitment that rivals Apple. The Galaxy S series cameras? Consistently phenomenal. Low light at a restaurant. Quick shots of grandkids running around. Group photos at family reunions. These phones nail it every single time. But here's what really matters for everyday folks. Samsung has thousands of authorized repair locations across America. Best Buy, U-Breaky Fix. Places you can actually drive to and talk to a human being. Try doing that with OnePlus. And the ecosystem thing? Samsung figured it out. Your Galaxy phone talks to your Samsung TV. Your tablet syncs automatically. Your smartwatch connects without headaches. It's that Apple-style convenience, but on Android. Now, you don't need to spend a fortune either. The Galaxy A series starts around $200 and punches way above its weight. Solid cameras, batteries that last all day, updates for years. My neighbor bought one for her mom last Christmas, and she calls it the best tech decision I ever made for her. The secret weapon, though, easy mode. One tap and your phone transforms. Bigger icons, simplified menus, less clutter. Samsung built this specifically for people who want their phone to just work without a computer science degree. Is Samsung perfect? No. Some models come with more pre-installed apps than necessary. But compared to the 7 brands we just covered, it's not even close. Between Apple and Samsung, you genuinely cannot go wrong.